That's all about them dick eaters, right? All about them dick eaters. Those bitch ass pussies on Twitter blocking. They like what was his, what was the thing that he used to say? He's all, yeah, his bitch ass blocked me. What does he do?
Yeah, his bitch ass blocked me on Twitter. It's like, fuck you.
He blocked me
You're a
quicker than shit,
lightweight.
man.
I'm like, he
Hard
bitches.
Eight's all talk. That's
Oh
all he
yeah,
is.
he's a loudmouth with no fucking.
He's known. He's just got a little bitty channel, and he's got 5 autistic people who follow him, and he thinks he's tough shit because he can call people cocksuckers. But you go up to him and you wanna debate something, or you want to talk something, or you say some shit he doesn't like, then he'll fucking block you on Twitter. That's all he is. He's nothing. I had some joke because I went over to JTech TV's channel real quick. I had a bunch of people. We went over to JTech TV's Discord before we all got kicked, of course. And some clown was in there saying, "Man, when you were on the Weapon Wheel podcast," which I was invited to, by the way. I got invited to the Weapon Wheel podcast, and I was on there, and they're mostly talking about console games, and so I didn't really have much input on that. So I was listening to them talk, and talking whenever I felt I had something to say. And some clown in JTech TV's thing was saying, well, why'd you let Hard 8 make a bitch out of you? I was like, what? He's like, yeah, he called you a fraud. Okay. So,
But with these people, that's all it takes, man.
Yeah, I know. That's why these channels are tiny. Because you call someone a name, and it's like, oh, you got roasted. You got roasted. He called you a name. He didn't substantiate it or explain why or do anything about it. He called you a fraud. He called you a name on a podcast. It's like, you didn't say anything. It's like, because he's a clown, and I don't care about one idiot on the internet calling me a name. Like, you think I'm going to take... He's like, I don't give a shit about what he has to say. He's just a loudmouth. And there's a reason why I'm successful, and he's not. I mean, look at his namesake. Maybe that says something about his character.
Right? Like, I don't understand, like, how these guys act like this, and they think it's perfectly okay. Like, it's okay to talk all the shit in the world because I'm on the internet. What are you gonna do to me? It's like, well, you're gonna piss off the wrong person that lives by you. That's the problem right there. Like, I'm not gonna do anything, but guess what? I know how many people I know that have been here on YouTube that or have literally been like called out and like literally at their fucking houses and shit.
Oh yeah, like, people will find you, man.
Yeah, like you piss off the wrong person, man. Yeah, you piss off the wrong people, you're gonna get fucked up, and that's just simple as that. Now, I'm not threatening anybody personally. I'm just saying it's been known to happen here on YouTube.
Oh, it eventually catches up with you, man.
So, like, I mean, we can all talk big on the internet, but at the end of the day, like, you guys are right. He's a pussy ass bitch. He blocked all of us. All I did was ask a fucking question. Evidently, that question was too goddamn hard for him to answer. Rags, you don't type clear enough. He couldn't read it because his ebonics kept fucking stepping in the way.
I doubt he can read, period.
Is it me or does he talk like Mike Tyson? Like, you guys ever notice that? He's like, yeah, you guys.
Your favorite commentator. Yeah.
He's just some nobody in the
I don't know, man. I don't know. I asked him, do you think possibly that it's the fact that maybe Colin Moriarty, actually...
Well, I think we went live before you started talking about it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right, so we need to catch people up if they don't know.
Yeah, a lot of these guys that are watching right now have no idea what we're talking about.
All right, so I don't know if y'all know who Hard 8 is. Weapon Wheel podcast, that whole debacle. I know a lot of y'all are PC gamers, so y'all don't really catch a whole lot of the console peasant side, but
the stuff.
Yeah, for the most part, they're pretty good guys, but sometimes a few of them they let their ignorance get kind of the best of them, and this is a prime example of that.
Yep.
Yes. As you know, Colin has left Kind of Funny Games, and due to some stupid ass joke,
he made a joke. Yeah, he made a joke about National Women's Day.
Yeah, and here we are, and he started, and he went on. Of course, he went on Glenn Beck. He went on his little radio show. He went on.
It ain't so little.
Yeah. Oh no, well, that's not a little radio show, but I was just saying. He went on Joe Rogan's podcast, and then he also went the Rubin Report.
Yeah, Rubin Report.
And so he's basically going to be launching a new little thing called Colin Talk Late Night or something like that. Something like that. The Late Night Colin Show or something. Late Night with Colin.
Right.
Something, I don't know.
Right.
He's gonna be talking politics and history. And so he's basically he has two passions in life: gaming and politics. But politics ranks up higher than gaming with him, so that's the reason why he started to move towards the political side.
Well, his Twitter handle is no taxation.
Yeah, I mean, he is a he was, you could tell he was definitely with political with his Twitter handle.
Yeah.
So, but he launched a Patreon for his new channel, and within 10 hours, he is making $30,000 a month. And Weapon Wheel Podcast decided to tweet out a couple of things saying that it must be nice, to be white.
It is, by the way. It's great.
It's great.
There's a sunburn, but
The white, that it's all about the white privilege and shit like that. I kind of, I guess, had a back and forth back with Hard 8 for a little while, and I was trying to find out with Hard 8. Could it possibly be that Colin, carries himself like a professional?
is it
Absolutely
professional?
not.
He's been in the business for years and years and years.
He basically
has a huge amount of exposure to hundreds of thousands of people across the world. It has nothing to do with that. It's because he's white.
Yeah,
That's all it has to do about.
I said Colin's worked his ass off because he started whenever he's 14. I watched the Rubin Report. He gave us kind of history of his thing. He started when he was 14, writing video game walkthroughs. IGN gave him a call, and then he worked himself up to lead editor. Then we left there, went to do Kind of Funny Games, built it to what it was, and now he's branching off to do this. And so, I mean, he's worked his ass off to get where he's at. He's like hung out with all the console head, the company heads. Like he knows all these people, like a bunch of high name and high priced people. Whereas like the Weapon Wheel Podcast, they know Kids Move, they know us.
I mean, the people
that make $10 an hour, this is the people they're involved with.
Yeah, I mean, if you like the Weapon Wheel Podcast, that's fine. When I was on there, I enjoyed it, and they're fine people. They're fine people, absolutely. And if they ever want me to come back, I absolutely will. But when you go to that podcast, it's definitely it only appeals to a certain kind of I don't say demographic, but it has a very finite level of appeal that isn't necessarily very huge and broad. And when you compare that with Colin Moriarty and everything he's done and all the time he's spent it and all the contacts he knows and all the exposure that he's had, and then chalk it all up to, well, he's white, then it makes you look like a fucking idiot, is what it makes you look like.
Yeah,
maybe
it definitely does.
Because all you see is, Colin Moriarty is a white guy, and he's making more money than we are. And I mean, what's the biggest channel between them all? Do they have 100,000 subs between everybody who does it?
Probably between everybody. I'm not sure since BG like brand, because the Weapon Wheel Podcast channel has like 86,000 subs, and that's what BG's old channel used to be. And if you count that one along with the rest of them, then yes, they would, because Bond has like 20-some thousand, so that would have been the 100,000. But with BG's new channel, no, they don't. The only thing close enough to it would be Weapon Wheel Podcast, is the actual podcast channel.
Well, maybe if they were white, they'd have more.
What's funny is that most of their Patreons are white.
Well, they're a bunch of clearly. They have they have the white man's guilt is what they have. Clearly, every single one.
I'm so mad because I'm white and people
there was another YouTuber that basically called them out. He has 1,000 subs or whatever, but he's called PlayStation News Now. You actually did a video on him, Rags.
Who?
PlayStation News Now.
Yeah,
you did a video on him, but he called out Weapon Wheel Podcast, basically telling them that, look, I'm black, half black, half white. He said,
PlayStation News Now is black.
Yeah, he said he's half black and half white. He said he said I don't identify with either one of them, but he said if you are blaming the white man for you not making the money that you think you need to be making, then it's just pure laziness and ignorance out of yourself. Which is true. I mean, it's like Sure. I mean, sure. I'm sure in some instances, in some businesses, I mean, it might affect, some people because I mean, racism does exist.
Yeah.
But naturally, I mean, I had a guy kind of tell me, he kind of put it in a position to where he said basically all races should have privilege, and he explained what he meant by this. He said that
Who said this?
his name is Von Schell. He's called the Handicap Gamer.
Okay. Is he gonna prove his name or?
Oh no! I see. I think it was actually pretty good. Like what he said.
Okay.
He said that basically, white people, Jewish people. He said even Mexican people. He said if you look at them like if you see a Mexican family and one of them's down, you'll notice that other Mexican families will help that person out. They kind of look out for their own, And Jewish people.
How do you tell what a Mexican is by looking at them?
God, you're gonna get me in this one. Oh man!
Obviously,
Okay,
they're brown rags.
Yes, I live in the neighborhood. I live in a neighborhood with them, so I know who they are. There's a few of them that look white, but we're still questioning that. But anyway, they,
Racist,
and he said that what it typically is that if whenever you come across somebody that he said more white people are going to naturally be more, I guess, comfortable around white people and in Mexicans around Mexicans. It's just a human nature. You're kind of more comfortable with what you know.
It's every race is like that.
Yeah, he said, but for some reason, the black people aren't like that. Black people are all for themselves, and he said that's got to change. He said I should be the safest neighborhood I should be able to live in is a black neighborhood, because he's a black guy. He said that, but the sad part about it is he said the black neighborhoods are the most dangerous place for black people.
Well, yeah.
Yep.
He said they're all out for themselves, and I said I blame their culture. I blame the rap culture because they
They want to be just like the next rap artist.
Because all the rap artists are talking about what's mine. This is mine. Basically it's all about me.
I pull balls, nigga. This is my shit.
Yeah.
I'll
so I mean
shoot
that,
you.
and he said, he said that shouldn't be the way. He said if we're instead of us complaining about white privilege, why don't we actually give our own selves our own privilege? By taking care of each other. He said a Patreon. If a black person launches a Patreon, it should be primarily black people supporting that. He said it shouldn't be solely, and it shouldn't be a thing where you have to support it because you're black. But he said, it's kind of like where you would just think that more naturally black people would support black people, and white people would support white people, and that type of thing, just because out of natural human behavior, not really so much out of so much white privilege.
I don't think I think it has to do with empathy. I think races have a natural inclination to be slightly more empathetic towards each other.
Yeah,
but it's nothing that can't be just easily overcome. It's just this natural sort of predisposition.
Yeah, so that's how he kind of put it. But he used instead of empathy, he used the word privilege, or he kind of formed it to where the empathy portion was more of what he was referring to as privilege, not a privilege in a negative way, but just like what you're saying there. But it was actually kind of a different take on the way the whole white privilege talk, and he actually made a lot of sense with it. I actually enjoyed that conversation with him, and
I mean that's
not
really
a pretty interesting take on it. It's not privilege
really
at all.
Privilege. I mean,
no.
Pretty much everything that results that you have is based on decision privilege or coincidental privilege based on where you're born. You're privileged to live in the West and Western civilization. You are privileged to live in a capitalist society. You're privileged if you have married parents. You're privileged if your parents have degrees and good jobs. A lot of the success that you could have, or at least a lot of the chances that you have, are influenced on decisions that were made not by you, but by your parents, where your parents live, things like that. The ultimate privilege is to have married parents. I mean, that's the ultimate privilege that you can have. Having married parents in the West is about the most privilege you can possibly get.
If you look at the crime statistics, and I get so tired. This guy brought up the privileges shown through voter ID laws and through incarceration rates, and I was like, you can't show me incarceration rates and tell me that that's white privilege. I was like, because if you're committing crimes, then naturally you are going to be the ones arrested. Yes. It's just kind of a natural, cause and effect.
Yes.
I said the problem isn't so much with your skin color or my skin color. It's a problem with the breakdown of the black family. And the people, yeah, I actually watched. It was actually I'm going to give a shout out to Sargon here because he actually gave me a lot of. I watched that debate between him and Destiny or listened to it, and he was saying that because Destiny was bringing up the same subject about the black, the whole racist things and everything and all that. And he was like, yeah, but the marriage rate for black families back with Jim Crow laws were actually in effect was actually at a higher percentage than it is now. He said once Jim Crow was actually repealed, the black family broke down.
Yeah, I think today 70 something percent of blacks are born into unmarried households, and that's the biggest thing that gets them. That's the biggest thing right there.
And if you if you go around,
it's pretty much the reverse of that.
And it was before the Jim Crow laws. And I'm not saying Jim Crow laws need to come back at all, not by any means. But we've got to figure out like how to fix that part for them, or how to help them, not government wise, but just as a society wise. Try to work on that, because if you look at it, even with white families or even Mexican families or any sort of nationality or ethnicity you want to go to, if you see the crime, the people that are committing the crimes, a higher percentage of them are coming from broken families. And that is where the problem, I think, lies, more so than any sort of skin color, any sort of, financial wealth. I think that I think it comes down to really building up a traditional family, whether it be, and I'm not saying traditional meaning man and woman. Obviously, that would be the ideal for what we know, but from what the statistics show. But still, just having two parents around, definitely helps out and keeps people out of jail.
It's actually a proven statistic. Are you positive? Are you sure that's not just what your white privilege speaking right now?
Well, give it a moment. And on Twitter, it might come out like that. So,
the United States just won the WBC 2017.
Yeah, I heard somebody actually said that the win doesn't count because during this tournament, Puerto Rico already beat the USA and put them in the losers bracket, and USA fought their way back to play them again in the championship. And since Puerto Rico already beat them once, then now they're not really considered. They don't consider them the champion because Puerto Rico already holds them over that or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I'm like, yeah, no, sorry, that's not really how it works.
That's not how this works.
We're talking about that's exactly how it works. What are you talking about?
It's like, let's complain about the rule. Like, let's be fine with the rules of the contest, just kind of like the election was. We're fine with the Electoral College. We're fine with the rules of the contest until it doesn't go our way, and then all of a sudden we're going to complain about the rules.
We're going to go and reform.
Yeah. If you sit down and play chess, if you sit down at a chessboard and you think you want to play the rules, the rules of checkers, when you're supposed to be playing chess and the other person plays chess and they beat you at chess, you can't complain that the rules were rigged. Yeah, it's just like the election. It's just like this World Series stuff. Y'all sit down to the same rules. Y'all abide by the same rules, and there you go.
The shit is funny though, isn't it? Like the shit is hilarious because if you guys remember, Rags, I'm sure you got this a lot. Shane, I know you remember me talking about this. How many motherfuckers in the Democratic Party were telling Republicans and conservatives that the Electoral College was fine? It didn't need.
Oh, everybody was.
It didn't need any reform. It was okay.
Everybody was. It was all over the place, man.
It's okay. Yeah. Republicans and conservatives are just stupid fucking idiots, right? And then when Trump wins, we need a reform.
Yeah.
Son of a bitch. It's like, yeah, I still think it needs a reform to this day. I think I would like to see. What I would like to see is like, say the big states like California, New York. I think New York is one with a lot of electoral votes, right? Mm-hmm.
I would like to see them broken up to where each portion of California is kind of more represented, to where you can make those 54 electoral votes spread out across the state in individual kind of little, maybe 4 little sections.
Yeah,
I think that might be a little bit more representative of the thing. I mean, we still need an electoral college because you can never go by the popular vote because then just basically three states are going to three states are going to control the vote every time.
Yep.
Yeah, there are, I think, more for instance, more people, to put it into perspective, more people voted for Donald Trump in California than the entire population of my state. But even based on those numbers, he got no electoral votes from California.
Yes.
So
Isn't that awesome?
I mean, it is what it is. Those are the rules.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the reason why I think. I mean, if there is going to be reform, I think it needs to be something like that. But to like what they're supposing or whatever about taking away the electoral college altogether and go to popular vote, I think that would be like the absolute worst idea because you would literally have 2 or 3 states.
California would New York turn into a fucking royalty state, man. That'd be
yeah. California and New York would be the 2 states that would be deciding the whole election.
The U.S. is 50 states, not 10 cities.
Yeah.
Yep.
And if you have, I mean, Hillary ran a really bad campaign on the idea that she basically forgot about 85% of the country.
And still almost won.
They'll always clinch those cluster cities where there's like a trillion people, and they'll decide it for the whole, for the whole state, especially a state as huge as California is. But when you talk about doing the popular vote, it pretty much comes down to, I'm not going to outright say mob rule, but really, I mean, tyranny of the majority could definitely apply.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And the idea is that everybody's interests are brought up, and it limits, I mean, really what it does is it limits the amount of power for the election-wise that really these massive metropolises have over the entire country. Because you can look at the maps of counties that Trump won and counties that Clinton won, and Trump looks, I mean, his map is massive compared to hers. It's just tiny.
Oh yeah.
But she got the super highly concentrated cities on the coasts and not terribly much else.
Right.
Well, if you notice the coastal cities, well, the majority of them, I say, on both coasts are primarily liberal. And then you kind of got the rest of the world inside, rest of the United States inside, that kind of vote both ways. But it's a very, very strong. I don't know that I would not want the coastal regions like deciding everything that happens on the internal of the United States.
Nobody wants that, dude.
Yeah, well, they do. That's what they're.
Oh yeah, they do. Yeah.
That's what they're asking for, and that would be. I hope that never happens because I mean, even no matter who's in office, it doesn't matter. It just would be a very bad thing for the rest of us. For 90% of the, or 90% of the states, I guess.
Bro, it's like fucking California is like the Cuba of the United States. It had to be sick because it's true. Yeah, I mean, it was really like that though. At one point during the elections, you guys remember the riots and the fights and the stupidity. Like, oh, you voted Trump. You're wearing a Trump hat. We're gonna smash your face in.
Oh, there was a lot of that. Even videos being posted to YouTube.
Yeah.
There was somebody that was sitting in a booth just eating. He had, I guess, they had a Trump shirt on or a Trump hat on, and they had people, like a crowd of people, walking up to him while they're just eating. Like they weren't even messing with him, talking to him, but they saw the shirt and happened to like think it was their duty to come over there and
set them rednecks straight, fucking Americans.
How dare you wear that shirt here? That's offensive. And I'm like, what the fuck? I mean, just go on about your business, live, man, go.
Yep.
So, I think something that is on a lot of people's minds right now is Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I talked with Ian Miles Chong. I've been on Twitter about it. I went back and forth with him talking about this. And this was, I kind of got into contact with him after I was banned from PC Gamer. I've been reinstated by another person, but I'll get into that later.
Interesting.
Is he part of PC Gamer? I mean, I don't.
No, I know who he writes for Heat Street.
Yeah, I mean, I knew that, but I didn't know if he was, part of that as well. So,
but Ian and I were talking about Mass Effect and all that, and I asked him about the whole boycott idea that's floating around, And he says, I think people are going to keep the pre-orders just to see how bad it is and loyalty to the franchise, but I don't think it'll sell anywhere as well as previous games. The boycott may have an actual impact, and considering the bad press right now, I don't think anyone who was on the fence is going to want to spend $60 on it.
I think that's fair.
Yeah. He said he liked Colin Moriarty's chat with Ruben. He's so on point.
Oh, I did. Oh, I did too. I enjoyed the hell out of that one.
But because he's been retweeting a lot of stories about BioWare and a lot of the Andromeda fiasco stuff. But to put it into perspective, Mass Effect 1 launched May 28th, 2008 on PC. And the Metascore is 89 from critics, and it is 8.6 from users. 2,500 ratings, right? Very positive. Now, Mass Effect Andromeda, which released March 21st of this year, has a Metascore of 77 on the critics, which I think is the highest between all the platforms. Now, the user score is 4.3 based on 961 ratings. I think it's 4.3 also based on like 1,200 something ratings on the PS4. And I think it's starting to get to the point now. When it first released, I had tweeted out pictures just to show pictures of it, and I think it's getting to the point where I think it's getting to the point now where it's no longer trolls because there's so many ratings now. Where it's pretty much stayed where it is.
It's becoming a thing.
And the ratings get more and more. There's more and more ratings, so more serious ratings to drown out the reactionary trolls and all that. But I mean I'll probably end up getting it from G2A or something like that, and I might stream through it, or I might play through it, make a video on it, because I'm curious about it. But everything that I've seen, the gameplay looks okay. The combat looks all right, but everything else looks terrible. Everything else looks terrible.
Oh, go ahead.
You've got this. I mean, this game has really been a fiasco ever since we really kind of started seeing stuff on it.
Texture
I think one
pop-ins.
of the first things. Yeah, texture
man,
pop-ins, animations, facial. Everything is just. It looks like garbage. It looks like a hot mess. And when you have everything between the writers and how they act, so of course Manveer, and the fact that in 2015, 2016, all the good people finally departed from Mass Effect. About how a lot of people have been talking about how BioWare has been booting people, or people have been leaving. Because based on leadership, things like that, it has been an absolute mess. According to one anonymous employee review, harassment and retaliation is an internal issue at BioWare Montreal. So we've got VFX artist who was saying that they don't recommend there, they have a negative outlook, and they have no opinion on the CEO, and that they worked at BioWare full-time more than 5 years. And the cons that they list. And the pros used to be a great environment filled with great amount of world-class creative talents. And the con that they have listed is BioWare Edmonton and Montreal symbiosis is broken, lots of conflicts, and bro culture. Lost over 13 leads from game design, art, audio, programming, senior core leads, etc. in 5 years at BioWare Montreal on Mass Effect. Edmonton lost only 3. It is clear that Edmonton has the bigger part of the stick when it comes to purge leads and producers who are not aligned with their leadership style. Putting people on performance improvement programs is the new tactic to get rid of people. Once again, more than 10 people in Montreal got slammed with his bureaucratic uppercut to let go people that are not bending to Edmonton leadership styles in the last revision cycle. This approach is used by the Montreal leadership to purge the mess from the lack of vision caused by upper management in the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Throwing people under the bus to protect bad core management mostly. And renaming Crunch, the crunch time of a video game. For those of you who don't know, that's like before a game releases, crunch time is normally where they try to finalize everything and make sure it's prepped for release and launch. And a lot of the times, people who work on these games can put just ungodly hours into making sure it's all finalized. But they renamed Crunch to finaling mode, which means company pay for your lunch, but you only have 30 minutes to eat and getting back on the keyboard. That was lasting for over 2 months and was a real catastrophe. Retaliation and harassment is sadly a reality. If you talk and ask questions, you will be tagged as a troublemaker and end up in a bad position. HR will not help you out. They will deny the current harassment from Montreal management by ignoring and not documenting the facts. In other words, if you leave, don't talk, just let it go. And many benefits got cut due to too much extension to get the game done.
Wow.
but we've got things about you got tweets here. David Gator left in 2016. After 17 years, he left BioWare.
Damn.
Let's see. No longer where that Schlurf. We've got Chris Wynn moving on from BioWare and Mass Effect Andromeda, returning to the U.S. Cameron Harris returning to Seattle, leaving BioWare. This is all between like 2016, 2015, 2016, 2015. All these really talented people are leaving.
Yeah. When you see all that talent leave like that, you know there's got to be truth to some of these posts.
Well, yeah, the lady that supposedly got harassed or whatever, her little thing was saying that her everywhere all over her social media was saying that she's the lead animator.
She said that.
Yeah, she said that. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was all over her social media everywhere. And even in her tweets and stuff, she was actually talking about it. And then of course BioWare put out that little thing after she got harassed, saying that she wasn't the lead animator. That basically don't harass her and everything like that. That people were still for some reason believing that, like BioWare doing that. I was like, well, BioWare has every reason to lie about this.
Yeah,
they don't. They have to save face.
Let me get
hire somebody with no experience.
Let me get the statement here from BioWare itself. Let me scroll down. I'll find it in a moment. Also, they have a really awkward trans character.
Oh yeah. I actually pulled that one up. The picture of the trans part of it.
Let me pull it up here. Let's go scroll.
She was basically hired off from an agenda.
Oh yeah. And the Ralph Retorts report from March 17th. Ethan Ralph, who has blocked me on Twitter, a cosplayer with no video game experience, was the lead facial animator for Mass Effect Andromeda, which is blatantly not true. Total lie. Absolute lie. Ralph Retort did not do his due diligence as a journalist, as a blogger, and by publishing this out there with all of he was extremely irresponsible when he put this out. He told Jeff and I that he gets 4 to 5 million blog hits a month, other bullshit like that. But when you have an internet that's up in arms about this franchise going down the toilet, like all their other franchises, because BioWare's shit now. But people are up in arms about this animation stuff, and you post something out like this, and people, who ruined Mass Effect, and people go to this, and he lies about her having no experience, things of that nature. And people go after her. Now, I don't know how much. I don't know if it was just I don't know if it was criticism by just a crap ton of people, or if a lot of it was actual harassment. Maybe
there was actually a few. A couple of sites, our wonderful Polygon and Kotaku, I guess got some screen caps of some of these tweets, and these tweets, there was one in there that was bad, basically, that said, I'm going to stick my dick in you so that way you can learn what an animation looks like, a facial animation looks like. The rest of them were basically, you've ruined my favorite franchise, you should be fired. It was basically all related to her being fired. It wasn't really there was only out of all the ones that they shown on the screen caps there was one sexual, and that was it. That was as far as it went. The rest of it was all talking about she should be fired. And
based off of the work, a lot of it is of course she didn't do a good job.
No.
If she was the lead, she did a shit job. Now here's the thing though. BioWare is ultimately in charge of the final product, and whether or not they put her in a position where she didn't know what she was doing, and ultimately it's BioWare's decision as to the quality control of the game and how they let it pass and fly. It's ultimately BioWare's fault. She was just I don't know. But of course this gets attached to Gamergate because Ethan Ralph is part of Gamergate, or if you could even say part of Gamergate. But he was a Gamergater, I suppose you could say. So now anything that he does is done on behalf of all of Gamergate,
which doesn't work that way.
It doesn't work at all.
No, but remember with them though, guys, it's all about collective. Everybody is all collected into one under one umbrella. Whenever somebody from a certain sect, does that, like the white people are all together. White people, women are all together women. They don't. And nobody thinks for themselves in their mind. So that's the reason why he gets lumped. Everything he does gets lumped into Gamergate because he can't possibly think for himself. It's all Gamergate.
Well, that
shit.
Polygon article that I was talking to you guys before we went live.
Oh, God.
I mean, like, that's ridiculous. Like, that guy.
I don't even know. Like, how did
on
you?
behalf of all of everybody? No.
Yeah, I was like, how did you ever even get Gamergate out of it? Gamergate wasn't even mentioned.
Yeah, not
like,
one
it had
Gamergater
nothing
was
to do
ever
with
a
it.
part of that whole situation with BioWare. Not one. And somehow they're still being, like, dragged into it. Like, are you fucking kidding me?
It just infuriated me to read that article. It's like, I mean, you're talking about his lack of proper work or proper research.
It's all about.
But you're not even doing it yourself. I'm like, you should know that just because he has the Ralph retort doesn't make it. That's like the Gamergate's, I guess, publication. That's his own personal thing. That's his own personal beef or whatever he does there. But just because he was part of it before, or, associated with it somehow before, doesn't make everything he does going forward the voice of Gamergate.
See, in BioWare, here's BioWare's statement on it. Recently, a former EA employee was misidentified as a lead member of the Mass Effect Andromeda development team. She was the lead facial animator. But he said these reports are false. We respect the opinions of our players and community, and we welcome feedback on our games, but attacking individuals, regardless of their involvement in the project, is never acceptable. Aaron Flynn, BioWare GM. It's very strange how quiet they were with Manveer all those years, and then people criticize someone who worked on the dev team, and then they make a statement.
That is what threw me off, is that they were
not a fucking peep.
Yeah, I mean, the whole time with Manveer, I mean, people actually even tweeted BioWare several times asking for some sort of statement on it. Like,
they outright refused
nothing.
to. They've been asked directly, and people from BioWare have just said we're not gonna talk about it.
Yeah,
like we're not gonna talk about Manveer and the fact that he is directly tying himself to our company. And he's been saying these things, these derogatory things about white people for years. For years, he's been saying this stuff. BioWare didn't give a fuck. And now, once the internet gets a hold of somebody who screwed the pooch on this video game, now all of a sudden you shouldn't attack people.
Now care.
All of a sudden it's bad. Now when it's us, we care. Now we care.
But what's funny is that somebody actually subtweeted them and asked them. You can't be putting out things like this little blurb that you did talking about harassment when you have this guy working for you, and they showed there's like the huge collage of screenshots from his tweet.
It's okay
and
when you do it.
They came out and they said, well, he no longer works for us. So basically what happened is that they hired him to work on this project. They suffered through his tweets, I don't really consider them. They suffered. I mean, they just kind of dealt with it. And then now that it's over with, now all of a sudden they're going to save face and go, well, we let him go. You didn't let him go because of the tweets, man. You let him go because he was done with the project.
The game was done, yeah.
You're not saving face here on this. You actually are very hypocritical in that.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's I don't know what. Let me look up sales here.
I really hope this affects it.
I've been looking up for the sales. I can't find them. Did they post them today?
They haven't posted sales yet for this game yet. Not that I have found.
So VG is pretty much the only guesstimation chart we have.
Yeah, and that's
cancer. I really don't.
Yeah, that's a scary thing to.
6 hours ago, Mass Effect Andromeda is already up to 24% off. That's from Destructoid.
I might actually get it for that price. I'm not gonna get it. I will buy it used. I've been very vocal about this. I refuse to give BioWare any of my money. I actually am trying to start a campaign to promote piracy on this game.
Really?
I'm gonna get it from. I'm gonna get it from.
Well, G2A doesn't give that still doesn't give money to BioWare, so I'm cool with that.
I think they get a little bit. I think
maybe not as much as what they would. Yeah, not as much as what they would. So I'm cool. But don't buy it outright from like GameStop brand new or Walmart brand new. Find a way to get it on used or whatever to make sure BioWare feels the actual wrath of their decisions. Oh. They do not deserve to have the money, whether it be I mean, just think about it. If you're not white and you happen to be of another nationality, What would you do if one of their lead developers were so open and racist towards you, and BioWare did nothing about it? Would you want people supporting that as well, or would you want like that? Racism should not exist, no matter which way it should be.
And as I said on the live stream I did with Jeff Holiday and Undoomed and Wizard of Cause and Appabend and them, what I said was, this is you have people. I mean, what if Manvir was in charge of the story and the characters and the dialogue?
Did you not? I think he was.
He's a gameplay designer.
Oh, did you not notice that there's no white people? That you can't make white characters or pale skinned characters in the game.
The game is designed around the idea that you can't take, for instance, the I don't think you could take the default writer and then customize that. I think you have to choose from a bunch of presets, and you can't really. I don't know. Let me see here.
They said that the whitest character that they have that you can create is really more of a Mexican skin tone. Well, no, that's what they said. Like kind of like the
excuse me, sure, we call that Mexican mocha.
Man, no, that's like they're like. I mean, I hang out with them all. I hang them out all the time, and they're like my friends. So,
he blends in.
I do. I actually I have really good tan. So I mean, we all hang out. But that's like the lightest you can go, and they actually asked one of the developers. There was actually a white girl that tweeted out to one of the developers asking, "Is there going to be a patch day one that that will allow us to create pale skinned characters?" He was like, "No, that happened somehow that got by." But there should be a patch in the future. There should be a patch in the future that will allow you to do that.
They did bring out a patch that they're considering fixing their animations. That's all it says.
Most of them.
Yeah.
Now I'm going through this video of every face preset. The default Scott Ryder is kind of white. He's white, isn't he?
Yeah, they said if you want to play as a white one, you have to do the default characters. You can't customize your character.
The default female is white, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, I don't. Well, I mean,
that's the only way.
Looking at her, yeah, she's white. Guess sort of. She's sort of white.
Yeah, but that's the only way you can play as a white character in that game, is through the default character. You can't actually create your character.
Some of these look a lot. Actually, there's a Scott preset 3 is white.
There's a lot of Akbars in that game, from what I understand, right?
I'm guessing is what they were talking about with the pale, meaning that they were, I guess, more white. I guess more like the actual paleness, rather than just I guess olive skin tone or white, a darker white skin tone like that most games have. I think they were looking more towards the albino type thing, like the really white people.
I mean, they're all ugly, basically. They're all very bad looking.
They're terrible, man. I've never seen a game. I've never seen a game come out like that, and people actually defend it. Like the Mass Effect people that are like so dire to that they love that franchise, which I get. But how can you defend that type of thing in 2017? I mean, you have a Japanese games that these same people, because of course they're the Xbox guys, because Mass Effect started there, but they're defending this game, saying that it's getting hate because it started on Xbox or something. It's a great game. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Mass Effect Andromeda is getting hate simply because it was on Xbox One first. Fact! Yes. Exclamation point. Yeah, I've got that open on a second tab. Crap gamer did that.
And so they're defending this thing, but I mean, they call the Japanese games niche or whatever, which they very well are pretty much here in America. But there's a lot of those games that actually have better animations and better character models than that game.
Neo?
And there is no reason why
Mass Effect 3 did.
Yeah, true. There's no reason why a small company like a Japanese company should be able to create a game with better animations and better character models than BioWare and EA. There's no reason for it.
I just don't really care. I mean, all the people got fed up with the company who were good, and they left. And you see the results of that.
Yep.
You see the results of that.
Yep.
And so
that's why everybody leaves Sony too. See what I did there? By the way, I saw your. Did you see the pony God of War Kratos thing?
Yeah, I like that.
That was pretty funny.
Mm-hmm.
Man, why?
I had to do it because you were talking about your of course the Xbox Live going down like all the time. But if you played on PS4, you wouldn't have gone down all this time at all.
It was just 2 times. 2.
Yes, but that's 2 times too many. I haven't gone down twice. Just saying.
I've never had Steam go down. I mean, my internet's been a little spotty sometimes, but
actually, like that yesterday, all of Microsoft went down.
Really?
Yeah, the every bit of it, like Skype, OneDrive, Xbox Live, everything went down for like 3 or 4 hours, and nobody knows why.
Just needed a breather to improve.
Hey, you know what? Those Azure servers need fucking breaks, man.
Well, they're working on Crackdown 3, and the Crackdown 3 broke them, I guess. Crackdown, you can tell Crackdown 3 is in its final days of development, and that's the reason why. Yeah, so what's going to happen when this game releases? Nobody's going to ever get to play it because as soon as somebody goes on there and plays it one time, it's going to crash Microsoft, and then I guess it'll just be out there.
I'm gonna be testing out their download speeds, see what they're capped at soon.
From what I understand, the Xbox is not capped at all anymore.
Really?
Yeah, there's people showing download speeds of 200 megabytes per second.
You know what this means, Shane?
The PS4's not capped.
Internet, so don't tell him that.
Yeah, so like,
I'm
getting gigabyte internet soon.
Oh,
Saturday,
sweet.
yeah, Saturday. Suddenlink guys are coming out to install the fiber and getting my whole like little server thing set up in my closet or whatever. So I'm actually really excited about that, and it's only gonna cost me $15 extra a month, which is fucking amazing.
Not bad. I've got the top plan of my company, and they told me that because we have gigabit internet here, but the area I live in, which is the hood, is going to be the last the last area to get it because they haven't had problems with
Kevlar to install it.
Yeah, basically. I mean, they got to make sure they install it during daylight hours. But they said that whenever it happens, I don't have to pay anything extra because I'm already paying, I guess, the top price. But right now, I'm still getting 300 megabits per second down, and on my PS4, when I download stuff, I'm getting 280 megabits download. So I mean, it seems like PlayStation 4 and Xbox One have released the caps on their internet.
Oh, I can't wait, Shane! I'm gonna download the whole library.
Why was it there in the first place?
I don't know. I
really
never
don't know
understood that either.
Yeah,
they never explained why.
They don't want to give us too much of a good thing to start, Rags. It's for
guess.
our own good.
In any event, who is this? God, who? Let me find this dude here. This A. Dobson Comics faggot.
Huh?
A. Dobson Comics. He I don't know. He's some piece of shit on Twitter. He's blocked me, of course. But he was talking about let me go to it here about how basically gamers hate women. You know, gamers hate women.
God, here we go.
Yeah, all that stuff. Let me scroll down. Here we go. Let me see. He had said, oh yeah, he's blocked. I have to open link in the incognito window. He started off by saying, I think it's safe to say gamers often have issues with female playable characters. No need to freak out. And so I said, in all caps, I said, citation needed. And he said, go these incognito windows. He said, given how some gamers freak out at the mirror, but this guy's, I guess he really thinks gamers hate women, and he has an encyclopedia. This guy, he apparently, fun fact, tweeted me or messaged me on Discord about he has a Encyclopedia Dramatica entry here. Of course, it's down though. There's one on him. His name's Tom Preston on Know Your Meme. But only he's this artist who he is insanely vitriolic against criticism. He hates criticism. He cannot take it at all. This guy is absolutely toxic when it comes to criticism.
Yeah.
But I mean, he'll hide banned comments that he disagrees with.
Of course he does.
Links to all that.
Because
but he's this cartoonist. But I guess he just hates. He of course hates Gamergate, and he's a feminist type, I suppose. If you're arguing that gamers hate women, the only people say that are crazy ass feminists.
Fucking.
He was saying, "I'm done." He said before he blocked me. Of course, he called me an idiot. That he blocked me. They'll mock then block. Very brave. He said, "I'm done. I'm not going to sit here the same week Gamergate attacked a woman for working on Mass Effect Andromeda and pretend gamers are a-okay with women now." And because he told me to Google stuff, basically educate myself. And someone else brought up that Horizon Zero Dawn sold like 2.5 million copies in a week because gamers just hate women. And it's ridiculous. Because remember, if you criticize someone or if you go after somebody, if they are a woman, it's because they are a woman. If it's a man, there's no reason. But if you go after someone and they happen to be a woman, it is because they are a woman. Like, that's the only reason why. That's the only reason why.
I tweeted out, or I guess quote tweeted, like Kotaku, because the way they put it was that a woman was attacked. It's like, what does it matter that that is a woman? If somebody was harassed, the sex doesn't matter, and it doesn't make it any more dangerous or any more vile that it's a woman. It shouldn't, like, that shouldn't be the thing. It should have been like gamers go after lead developer, or gamers go after developer, something like that. Nothing about saying that the gamers, they would have turned around to where gamers are making these memes and saying this about the animations based on the fact that it's because a woman was the lead. So no matter what, it was actually a lose-lose situation for gamers. I mean, like, when a woman's involved, especially in this game development since Gamergate, it's almost like mum's the word. You can't be, unless you're positive, you can't say shit. Whether you don't bring up the fact that she's, I mean, you can be talking about the gameplay, the game itself, and nothing about the actual person that created it or whatever. But they will turn it around and take that, and if the woman was involved with it, make it be about the woman rather than about your actual criticisms. It's so insane that they do this. And what's funny is it's the feminist movement and all that crap like that, but feminists are actually fighting against women or men that are doing that. They find that to be, anti-feminist, or against women, or I guess, misogynist. Yeah, they find it to be misogynistic for you to white knight for them. But yet,
white knight for him. Pause right there. Just pause right there.
Okay.
No. There we go. Freaking A.
All right, so where did I end up at?
White knighting.
Okay, so they're
left off at
these guys.
knighting. Yeah.
These guys are these guys at these Kotaku and Polygon and stuff are white knighting for these things in the name of feminism, but it's almost like just a big contradictory mindfuck, because they're going back and forth with it's just so confusing as to know what is it that feminists want.
To finally get laid.
Yeah, but what is it these reporters want? I mean, like, we cannot win.
To finally get laid.
You could not true. You cannot be critical of any portion of a game, any game at all, if a woman was involved. Right. It's almost like it's so sad, because there's no reason. I could almost bet a lot of these women that are actually involved in these games don't actually feel this way. But these reporters and stuff, they turn it into that. They find a way to turn it into like some sort of feminist issue. And that's kind of like where the situation where news has got us. It's these days. It's always been about, like, I don't know, they've turned everything into some sort of social construct or social issue. rather than it just being about what the actual issue is about that the actual thing started from.
Yeah.
It's so confusing. I don't know.
It's like we've talked about before. They want to make an issue out of a non-issue. They want to bring up the most mundane things to make their points more validated to them. That's what it comes down to, and it's retarded. It really is. It's dumb. It's stupid, but that's just the world we live in. I mean, look at all the shit that we were just talking about with Gamergate. They're bringing up Gamergate when Gamergate hasn't been anywhere to be seen in forever, right? Like
Gamergate won. It's everywhere now.
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
the general
I mean,
consumer is mostly was Gamergate. It's just been absorbed because it won, and that's why you got. I mean, look at Mass Effect Andromeda.